Hello, 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 hello. We are live on IGTV Live. I'm so grateful, so thankful to be here with you this evening as we get ready for our broadcast. And welcome to those who have joined. Welcome to this evening's live. Welcome, Sahid. Absolutely great to have you as a part of this evening's live discussion and talk. And welcome to thank you very much for your greeting. Greatly appreciated. Could you turn on the fan for me, please? Thank you. So we don't have that additional feedback. All right, so we're going to get started right away as we dive into this evening's topic. And this evening's topic, as we welcome my brother Augustine. Welcome as well. Thank you for joining us this evening. I truly appreciate that. You want to come and say hello? Come and say hello. All right, this is our daughter, Ariana. You don't want to say hello? What? You're shy? You want to be on my camera? Oh, it's okay. All right, so thank you once again for those who have joined us so far. And I'm really excited and grateful for the privilege to share with you this evening. The whole idea this evening is to talk about a number of areas, but just briefly, my name is Dr. Harry Benjamin. I'm a Jamaican American. I am a transformational teacher and also a life coach and an author as well. And at this time in human history, there's a call. There's a call going on emanating itself from many different circles. And the big call right now is one of unity. It's a call about unity. It's a call for us to unify, for us to come together, and for us to really create a world that works for everyone. I was sent a message by one of my key individuals. In fact, she's my mentor. Her name is Reverend Arlene Hilton. And the message was that, all the various religions on this very unique weekend that we have, which is a celebration of our resurrection. It's called the Resurrection Weekend. And today is called Resurrection Sunday. And this has been celebrated around the world in many different areas. And whether one is of that particular faith or not, there's a call for unity around all religions. So there's a call, ladies and gentlemen, for unity around all religions. Regardless of what the religion is, regardless of what the religious background is, there's a call for unity. And that is important, UNITY. I see that word as an acronym or acronym. U for undivided, N for noble, I for individuals, T for transforming, and Y for yesterday or yourselves. So unity is about uniting and letting go of the past ways of being, letting go of what has not served us well, coming into a matter of being unified around us going forward as human beings, as one human family, and no longer looking at our differences, no longer focusing on what may seemingly separate us from each other, because it's just a seeming sense of separation that we are separate from each other, and that seeming sense of separation has led to us having a series of challenges. So there's a call for unity. There's a call for you and I to really unify, to come together as one, and start to celebrate that one power, that one presence, that one life that imbues you and I, it imbues each and every one of us. And we're here this evening to raise our vibration in reference to that, for us to actually become keenly aware that we're truly one power, one presence, one life, right? So this evening we're talking specifically about rising, above the virus of fear. Rising above the virus of fear. There is actually what's called a virus of fear. That sense of fear that we are troubled with comes from a sense of separation. I was just speaking with, my wife a while ago, and we're talking about this group that I spoke to, and I was sharing with her that I spoke to a group of individuals at a church not too long ago. It was a few weeks ago. It was on a Saturday morning, and it was a men's fellowship, but some women were there as well. And when I asked the question, raise your hand if you have any concerns, and everybody put their hand up, right? And inherent in that question is a bit of a trick in a sense, in this sense. It's a trick question, but it allows for people to be honest, right? Because if you ask them the question in the other way, which I'll put here as well, they would not give the truthful answer. So when you ask somebody, do you have any concerns? They will wave their hand because it sounds correct to have concerns. And yeah, it may seem that way on the surface of it, that you should carry around concerns with you. But as we dive into this, you'll recognize why we shouldn't. Now, what is a concern? A concern is a worry. It means that you have a worry about something that may go wrong. That's what a concern is. You are concerned. Nobody's concerned that you may make $1 million next week. Or you might, somebody might give you $2 million and you will have to figure out what to do with it, right? That's not a concern. That would be very welcome, right? So what a concern is a worry. It's always something that as individuals, we are hoping does not happen to us. So individuals live in that way. They live in a sense of worry and concern. So when I asked individuals, are you concerned? Everybody raised their hand and said, yes. In a congregation at a spiritual organization, it was a church. And yet still, individuals there are saying they have a worry. Now, in addition to having a worry, where does worry come from? Worry comes from fear. So, meaning that when you're worried about something, you're afraid that something is going to happen to you. So you're living in worry, you're living in concern, you're living in fear. So that's where that virus of fear, it comes from. It comes initially from a sense of separation. Because the reason why people are concerned or worried is because they believe that something may happen to them that will bring harm. Now, the thing is that we are given some great advice. And I was listening to a teaching this morning on the teaching used by Reverend Beckwith. And the teaching used the scripture that says, advise us that I send you amongst the world, which is a piece of advice that Jesus the Christ gave us. And he said, I send you out into the world as sheep among wolves. So the idea is that we're going to have wolves in the world. We're told you're going in as a sheep. You're going in as a gentle being. And there are going to be wolves in the world. There are going to be people trying to take things from you. People are going to try to hurt you. People are going to threaten you. You will have wolves in the world. And also we're given some advice. Be wise like a serpent, but harmless like a dove. Meaning that be wise like a serpent. Take wisdom. Don't go out carelessly and just be, willy-nilly, not paying attention to understanding what the potential risks are to our human body. Because we have to protect this human body from challenges. Now, viruses come every couple of years, right? Every 2 years, every 3 years, there is some sort of virus. There was SARS, there was Ebola, there are different flus, and now we have Corona. So there's always something going on the planet. And right now, what has happened is that most people have become interested in Corona. They have become interested in Corona. The interesting thing about this is that interest is based on fear. So there's misdirected interest. There's interest in the outcome that they do not want. So what we have to do is to pull back that interest. If you look at what happened, nobody today is talking much about Ebola because even though Ebola is still around, our interest in it has come away. SARS, our interest in it has come away. And as our interest comes away from those areas, they tend to fall away from us. One of the things about our interest, the things that we are interested in are invited into our life experience. So it's very, very important to pay attention to what you're interested in because what you're interested in will become your experience. So if you're interested in something, it eventually becomes your experience. And no experience comes into your life uninvited. So your experience are what you invite because of your interest. Either it comes because you are interested in it, meaning you want it, or it happens to you because you do not want it. If you want something, it will come your way eventually. If you do not want it, I don't want this to happen. I don't want to catch this. Then you're interested in it, and the universe operates with laws. It is going to manifest your interest. So if you're interested in something you do not want, all the law of the universe knows is, okay, Harry is interested in this. It doesn't know that, no, I don't want it. It just realizes energetically that I have an interest there, and it brings what I'm interested in into my direction. So as human beings, what we have to start to recognize is that we have to move from a place where we believe that we're only human beings. Because that's one of the biggest mistakes we have that pervades the human experience as a thought and a belief. There's a deep sense of believing that we are only human beings. A lot of us think, I'm only human. You've heard it many times, or maybe you have even said it. The individuals that I was speaking to in the congregation, where does that fear come from? I was asking them, who gave you a spirit of fear? Where did you get fear from? So the idea is that we are not given a spirit of fear. We have a spirit of love. We also have a sound mind. That's what we've been given. However, whenever you believe in your thought process or subconsciously that you are a mere human being, meaning that you're small, you're separated from your good, then fear is the byproduct of that narrow sense of identity. When you have expanded your sense of who and what you really are, ladies and gentlemen, and you're now aware of an expanded way of being, what now happens is that your context changes. One of the things about context, our context determines our perception, or the perception determines the thoughts that we obtain, and the thoughts we actually concentrate upon determine our life experience. So your context is very important. If your context is, I am merely a human being, then you are now obtaining, your perception is now that I'm small, I'm limited, I'm restricted, I'm at risk. With that perception, you invite now thoughts that will be along the line of fear and worry and doubt and anxiety. The virus of fear is now spinning in your mind. So whenever you sit down and you watch TV or somebody says something or a report comes, I'm not supposed to cough, right? I need to clear my throat. Ariana, could I get some water? Thank you. So if you are in that place, ladies and gentlemen, wherein you are now dealing with fear because you have not expanded your awareness, then what's the solution? Because the solution cannot be to maintain the context that you're merely human. You have to meditate. You have to get into affirmative prayer so that you can expand your awareness to where you now become aware of the truth of your being, that you are a spiritual being first, having a human experience. And you have the opportunity with expanded awareness, thank you very much, to choose your experience. Excuse me as I digest some of this water. All right, great. This is good stuff. So expand your awareness. I wish it was so easy that I could just use a key and just expand my awareness. It just click and my awareness goes like bam. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. What you and I have to do, and I've done this over a number of years, and more of us need to get engaged in this. What we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to start the process of contemplation, reflection. Start to look at the content of your mind. Take time out to become still. Make sure that you're taking time in the morning and possibly in the night before you go to bed. And be still to start to know the presence of God in you. To become aware that your life and God's life is the same. And then your context moves from I'm merely human to the context I live, move, and have my being in the presence. Not live, move, and have my being in the world. You don't want to be of the world. You want to be of a higher order of being. So you're now becoming aware that I live, move, and have my being in a presence that's everywhere. A presence of love, of joy, of peace, of intelligence, of wisdom, of transforming knowledge. And as you're becoming aware of this presence as your very life and your very being, you're now changing where you're obtaining your thoughts from. One, your perception changes because you're no longer looking from a limited perception. Your perception widens. You now can see that everything around us is imbued with and surrounded by the presence of God, presence of life, the presence of love, peace, joy, intelligence. You know, when I speak about God, I'm not speaking about an anthropomorphic man in the sky. I'm not talking about a throne that exists somewhere above the skies, or in what we call heaven. I'm talking about a presence of love, of joy, of peace, of wisdom. I'm not trucking with, that old limited way of looking at God and describing God as a man in the sky. That's not my description. I'm describing God from the standpoint of love, peace, joy, wisdom, genius, creativity, these essences that are the very core and the center of what we really are. So as we become aware of this, when we speak from that standpoint and we expand our perception and our perceptual window widens, we're now seeing that this presence of love and joy and peace imbues and sustains everything that we see in the manifest and unmanifest universe. And as we become aware of this, we start to obtain thoughts that are based on love and joy and peace and innovativeness, resourcefulness, creativity, genius, abundance, prosperity. Our thoughts start to emanate from a high order of being. The limited paradigm of fear, doubt, and worry will always be there. In fact, one of the things about these limited thoughts is that you cannot not think them. What do I mean by that? Whenever you watch a news report, it generates a pattern of thinking. And it's already in the mind. It's a part of our being. We're not going to be able to get rid of it. So you'll not be able to not think these thoughts that generate a sense of fear. But once you have expanded your awareness, you'll be able to see that that's coming from a sense of separation. And you do not have to give it vent out of your mouth or allow it to determine your emotions. You can actually observe it. You can see that's what the mind is starting to think. In fact, you become so cool with it because you'll be able to do this. Oh, that's interesting. Wow, I didn't think that. Where did that come from? That just came up in my mind without my permission, right? What? I don't agree with that. And in the moment that you start to observe the content of your mind, ladies and gentlemen, you start what's called transmutation. You start to change those thoughts back to their original format, which is love, peace, and joy. So there is a cleansing that needs to happen because we're not going to get rid of the thoughts emanating from the human consciousness because we're here having a human incarnation. That human incarnation, once we arrived on the planet, it became imprinted with race consciousness, depending on your race. It get imprinted with a culture, a way of thinking. The consciousness that we had got imprinted with a certain way of being, the memories and the experiences that we've had as beings on this planet. So our consciousness became imprinted. Once that became imprinted, then that mind is operating with that way of thinking. And as we grew, we were taught certain ways of seeing and perceiving, and then that continues. But as you're mature now, you're maturing as an adult, now you have the opportunity to start to question these beliefs, to question these things that are operating in your mind, so that your mind is not running amok and running away with the fear-based thinking of human beings. You're able to extricate yourselves from that and not get into the conspiracy theories and not get into the idea of the world crashing and all of those things, which some experiences will happen. But why are some systems falling apart? Because there will be some crashing of systems. Yes, there are going to be some old systems that are going to crash and fall away. But while that is happening, there are new systems that are birthing themselves that will take us into a different paradigm. So there's a shift happening from the old paradigm to the new paradigm. Where do you want to rest your laurels? Do you want to rest your laurels in the old paradigm that's falling away, that's now decadent? Because when you go to the news media, what they're doing is they're reporters of the old paradigm. They're reporting from the dead carcass that's now disintegrating from the old paradigm. They're not reporting the new, and you and I are here to talk about the new paradigm and how we can play a role in bringing this new paradigm to become a real manifestation in this season, as we are talking about a world that works for everyone, where everyone has food, everyone has clothing, everyone has shelter, everyone has electricity, running water. That might sound ridiculous to somebody who is embedded in the old paradigm. That might sound crazy. How is it going to work? Well, if you look over history, you could have called the industrial age crazy. Because I remember the story about a gentleman in the 1525 thereabouts after the death of Jesus, right? 1500 AD. Now, he was the one who came up with the idea that we can travel in trains at 25 miles per hour. He saw the idea in his mind. He drew, what would be eventually became the train, And when he came up with this idea and he told his family, he told people around him, they thought he was crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, they actually held on to him and they were trying to put him into a psychiatric institution because he was crazy to think that we could travel at 25 miles per hour. Now today, you would laugh at his family members and the people in his community that were trying to incarcerate him in a psychiatric institution. You would laugh that they were the crazy ones, not him. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're in that season again. We're in that season when people are going to say, how can he be saying a world that works for everyone? How can he be saying that everybody will have food, clothing, and shelter? That's crazy. That can't happen. How is that possible? Well, all things are possible to those who actually have a fundamental belief and understanding that this universe wants to support everyone. The universe is not limited. The universal bank account doesn't have a limit on it. The universe is unlimited in terms of supply, right? The ultimate renewable resource that we have on this planet is called the presence of God. It never runs dry. It can never be destroyed. It can only re-express itself in myriad ways over and over again. And the universe, as we know it, the manifest universe, the galaxies, the star systems, every minute it's expanding at millions of miles per minute. The universe that we know is growing as we know it right now. And we, ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we're also a part of that. We are growing as well. We're an emanation of that. So we're here on planet Earth at this time in human history to make a difference. You are the difference makers. You are the ones who are going to rise up and make a difference in this time in human history for us to change the trajectory that we have been on. The narrative is what we're changing. The narrative has always been, I am only human. I'm merely human. I have to fight to survive. I have to take care of me, myself, and I first, and my family members, and then that's my responsibility. But we're maturing now to where we realize we're not only human, we're spiritual beings, having a human incarnation, and we can choose the experience that we want. Now, in choosing this experience, we're going to create a world that works for the highest and best in each and every one of us. And we can give up the sense of fear, this virus of fear, the virus of fear, for you to rise above it, for you to not eliminate, because you won't eliminate its presence within your being. You are a being that encapsulates everything. So the virus is there in the human mind. It runs on a basis of a sense of being separate from our good. It believes, the human being believes that it is separate from its good. It believes that there's God in the sky, it is down here on this planet, and it has to fight for its existence, and it has to carve out a way for it to take care of itself. And in that belief of that sense of separation, there's fear, there's worry, there's doubt, there's anxiety. And with that sense of fear, doubt, and worry and anxiety, ladies and gentlemen, it spins out a continuous web of thoughts that are coming from that sense of separation. So people who live there, that's why when I asked the group, that were congregated together, who has a concern, they put their hand up. Because under the concern is their anxiety. Anxiety is always about something that you do not want in the future. What is the basis of that? Fear. What's the ultimate fear? I'm going to die. Something's going to happen and cause me to die. Now, the idea is that death is an idea or a concept that comes from the ego. It comes from an identity with a body. The only thing that can die is the body. But the spirit that we are, the spirit was never born. It can never die. Fire burns it not, water wets it not, and wind blows it not away. A sacred statement that came from the Bhagavad Gita. So we, ladies and gentlemen, we have an eternal life. We are spiritual, eternal, everlasting, forever, same word. Spiritual is not religious. The word spiritual means eternal, forever. So you and I are eternal beings. We're spiritual beings having a human incarnation. So the spirit of eternality that we are, as we meditate, as we affirmatively pray, as we have these types of high-minded conversations with each other, we will continuously reaffirm and rise in consciousness to where we become so stable, so fortified that the thoughts now that emanate in our minds are thoughts of love, of peace, of gentleness, of kindness, of abundance, of prosperity. we are radiating our peace. We are radiating our joy. We are radiating our love where we go. We are the ambassadors of heaven here on earth. We're the ones bringing heaven, bringing the essences of heaven here now. Not waiting for something to happen in the future. Not waiting for, I often laugh about it, a man on a horse with a sword riding in the clouds and coming to save us. You know, that's a fairy tale, ladies and gentlemen. And this is the time in our history where we need to give up that type of way of living and thinking. Right now, we need mature beings to rise up above what we could call using our common sense to make nonsense. So we need to rise above this, ladies and gentlemen, so that we are living from heaven. We are expressing joy, we're expressing peace, we're expressing love, we're expressing abundance and prosperity. That happens from expanded awareness. When your perceptual window has moved from I'm only human, I'm merely human, to where it has expanded, ladies and gentlemen, to now you realizing that you live, move, and have your being in a presence of love, peace, joy. It means that your being is imbued with love, imbued with joy, imbued with peace, imbued with abundance itself, imbued, ladies and gentlemen, as a genius, innovator, resourceful. Those are essences of what we are. When we are expanded in our awareness, then there's no need to be worried because everything that you need and hope for and desire, you already have it. And all that's necessary right now is for you to express it. For you to express the gifts, the talents, the capacities that are loaded and coded in you before time began. And that's what we're in the process of doing. The virus of fear comes from a limited perception. As I seek to summarize this up for us to have this. The virus of fear comes from a limited perception of ourselves. Once we have believed and agreed that you're merely or only human, whether you are agreeing with it subconsciously or consciously, or both. Because if you consciously think you're one with God, but you subconsciously believe that you're separate, you're still going to have fear. Because that virus comes from that subconscious belief. That was something we inherited. So what we have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is that we have to take time away from the world, slow down, especially right now, and start to do your contemplation. Start to pay attention to what are the thoughts running in your mind. Start to stand up to the side and look at your mind. I'm doing it figuratively for us. So you look at your mind and say, what it is that's been going on inside of there, and start to question these thoughts so that you can actually get clarity. Pay attention to them. Change these thoughts that are emanating from a sense of separation. Now, with that contemplation, you've now started the process of meditation, where you sit and become still and silent. There are several different meditations online. The ones that come from Reverend Beckwith, in my opinion, are the best ones. Right? So you can look them up and look up silent meditation on YouTube and start to practice it. If you need help, reach out to me. I'll help to guide you. I've been meditating now for well over 10 years, and I've become quite stable in that area. And I can help you to become more stable in your awareness as well. So as we expand our awareness, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing a number of things. We're doing contemplation and reflection. Then we're also doing silent meditation. You're also doing what's called affirmative prayer. We need to pray affirmatively. What do I mean by that? Worry is praying in reverse. Because when you're worried, you're rehearsing what you do not want to happen. When you're worried about something, you're rehearsing what if this happens. So you're worried about what you do not, you're bringing, you're inviting what you do not want by praying in reverse. So we need to pray affirmatively. Our prayers need to be along the lines of I am love, I am joy, I am peace, I am whole, I am perfect, I am complete, I am one with God. So more of us need to become aware of the truth of our being and know it from within. And then what it does is it disintegrates and dissolves those lower frequencies that emanate from a sense of separation. So that is what we need to do, ladies and gentlemen. We need to declare and announce and shout. Thanks for the hearts, right? We need to declare and announce and shout from the center of your being. I am love. I am peace. I am joy. I am whole. I am perfect. I am complete. I am one with the presence. The presence is one with me. So you're declaring the truth about yourselves and starting to disintegrate and dissolve the erring beliefs, the erroneous beliefs that we picked up when we were born, and those are imprinted into our subconscious because we came into this human experience and human incarnation, right? So you're now starting to clean up through affirmations. You're declaring what it is that's true about yourself. The other thing that you need to do is make sure you're doing your spiritual study. Are you reading the books that will help you to know the truth about yourself? Because one of the challenges is that if you're not interested in the truth, you'll pick up things that are affirming what's not true. What's important, you have to have a sincere, honest desire from within to know the truth. Now, to be able to not appear, let me just rephrase this, right? There are 4 stages that we grow through when it comes to knowing the truth about ourselves. The first stage is an unbeliever. Someone who does not believe in anything that's not physical. That person has to see something, they have to touch it, they have to know how this one led to this one, led to this one, led to this one, and now I have this. That person is what we call an unbeliever. That's the first stage of human when it comes to spirituality. I do not believe in anything that's not something I can touch, smell, see, taste, and feel, right? If it's not coming through the 5 senses, I'm not interested in it. That's an unbeliever. The believer is someone who now becomes interested in the intangible. That person now uses faith to believe in a presence, believe in something that's greater than themselves, that is playing a part in creating our existence and unfolding and revealing life. But that is still a faith step. That is when somebody has a belief that something greater than us is participating in our life experiences and contributing in a good way, to a better future for us as human beings. So that individual may believe through an avatar, through someone who did some great work on the planet, and then uses that person's example as somebody that they may look up to, and some people worship that individual as a belief system or a faith system. Now, what happens as you study, as you do affirmative prayer, as you do your meditation, you will bump up into starting to recognize that some of what you believe is not correct. Because beliefs and truth are different. The belief is just a starting point. The truth disintegrates the need for beliefs. So believers is a second stage. But what helps the believer to move up is confusion. What do I mean by confusion? Because when you had a belief in something, you're believing in something outside, you're believing in something upstairs, you're believing in something inside of you, you have a belief. But that belief will eventually be challenged by information that will cause you to shift your belief. And as your belief shifts, ladies and gentlemen, and your belief starts to change, then you become, but I believed this before, but now I realize that this is not really so. And then you had to give up the belief, and then you feel a sense of insecurity because what you really were holding on to in faith, you've now realized that, there were some challenges there, and you had to give that up. Now, great. Now you enter into a place of, I believe in intangible. I believe that there's a supreme being. I believe that something greater than me is participating in life, but I don't know what's really going on with a sense of certainty that eliminates any need for belief or eliminates any sense of confusion. So that makes you open to the 4th stage, which is to know. When you know and you have a direct revelation from within that your life and God's life is the same, then the beliefs now, those disappear. The fears, the doubts, the worries, the anxieties, the unrest, all of those things start to disintegrate. Your emotions that come up, you start to be able to see them and change them back into love, peace, and joy. You become a beneficial presence on this planet. Because as you're moving into the world now, you're no longer off the world. You're no longer concerned. You're like the sheep among wolves. You're as wise as a serpent, but yet still you're as harmless as a dove. You're kind, you're gentle, you're strong, you're forgiving, you're loving. You're contributing your love and your peace and your joy and the essences of what you are into the human experience, and no longer trying to get something. You're not trying to get love from a relationship. You enter a relationship and you bring love to it. You're no longer trying to get from the world in terms of money. You're bringing value. And as you're bringing value and ideas and concepts, people are going to be exchanging money with you to receive the value that you're bringing into this world. So you're coming from a place where you're no longer trying to move from where you are to somewhere else to be at peace. You bring peace. So when you enter into a room, peace shows up into the room. When you enter into anywhere, your relationship, joy and love comes into the relationship. You're not trying to get it from the relationship. You're not accusing your partner that you're making me unhappy. It's you why, everything is not the way it should be, right? You're accepting responsibility for where you are, what's going on in your life, and you are living from a place of peace and joy and love. Your abundance starts to show up. You start to radiate these essences in all the various areas of your life. And that's the process. So the process is, first, you have to recognize that you're not only human. You're more than human. You're spirit, soul with a body that's a human body. That's just a very small fraction of your overall sense of being. Now, when you have done your affirmative prayer, when you have started to declare these things I declared earlier, when you've started to do your meditation in silence, and then the revelation of the truth of your being comes, then you elevate, ladies and gentlemen, and you mature out of a narrow sense of self. You will have your own direct revelation where one day, bam, it hits you like a thunderbolt, right? Like a lightning bolt, right? And it hits you, ladies and gentlemen, and you become awake, aware, and alive. And you realize that, wow, I am one with God. God is one with me. I've never been disconnected. I was always connected. I was never ever cut adrift. All the love, all the peace, all the wisdom, all the joy, it starts to bubble up and starts to flow. You start to infuse that into all different areas of your life. And the fear virus that runs in the human experience, that no longer has control over your attention. It's there whenever you hear media, something comes in through your WhatsApp, something you read, something you heard, something is happening in your community. And I'll share this one brief story I learned with you. Because recently, there are people who are showing the symptoms and signs of COVID virus. And they're being examined and they don't have the virus after they're tested. But they have the symptoms. Why? Because they're interested in it. And their interest is that I don't want the virus. I don't want the virus. I don't want to catch this thing. I don't want to catch this thing. And because of that, their personal law has become interested in it. And then their body ends up experiencing what they don't even have, right? There are many people who have literally died because of fear and not because of cancer, okay? They've died just on the news. They were walking around healthy and strong, and the minute that they got the diagnosis, then everything went. The fear of death took them away. Not the cancer, right? The fear. So we have to extricate ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, from fear contagion. Understand that virus is there. It does not have to run the show. You have this knowledge, you have this theoretical information. What you now need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to get down like James Brown into your affirmative prayer, into your declarations, into your affirmations, into your decrees, and also do your silent meditation. Have high-minded conversations. Continue to tune in. Share this content that we're sharing here with friends and family and more people so that people can rise up out of that sense of fear contagion and the world's conversation that's pretty much about fear and worry and doubt right now will fall away from them, and they will now be a contributor to a better world. They will be a contributor to a world that works for everyone, as we're knee deep right now and eventually become head covered in creating a world that works for the highest and best in each and every one of us. Thank you so much, all the various individuals that came on this evening. I like everyone who's contributed in terms of their comments, and thank you. And I want to extend my love and appreciation to each and every one of you that took time out this evening to come and listen here and participate in this conversation. I'm really excited about this. We're going to keep this going. We're going to be doing this twice a week on Tuesdays and on Sundays. And we're going to grow a community of like-minded people and more people who are actually chiming in and talking about a higher level of consciousness. I'll be having other participators come on as well, as we expand this growth, this movement, right? And have more people become keenly aware that we have one power, one presence, one life, regardless of the religions. It's a time that religions are unifying. It's a time of a call for all religions to unify. And on this beautiful Resurrection Sunday, this beautiful Resurrection weekend, when we're reminded, about what happened, we're reminded and we're celebrating the resurrected life in us, the resurrected Christ in us. Resurrect your peace. Resurrect your joy. Resurrect your love, right? Crucify your excuses. Crucify your fear, right? And get that out of your way so that your love, your joy, your peace, your wisdom, your genius, your innovativeness, your resourcefulness can shine and blossom and bloom. All right? Bye for now. Thank you once again, everyone that played a part this evening. I love you all. All right, until Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock, when we'll have another talk. Bye, 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 bye.